Unshakable faith. The wind howled against the small village of Bethera, a place known for its vineyards, stone houses, and for the woman whose faith outshone every lamp at night, Mira. She was gentle, hardworking, and loved God deeply. But for years, her life had been marked by loss. Her husband had passed suddenly. Her crops had failed. Her closest friends drifted away. And still, Mira prayed. Each morning before the sun touched the hilltops, she whispered, "Lord, even when life falls apart, I stand on you." One particular year, a severe drought struck the land. Streams dried to dust. Leaves curled under the sun's fiery breath. The village panicked, fearing hunger, poverty, and ruin. But not Mira. She planted seeds anyway. From her porch, people watched and shook their heads. "She's planting in dry soil," they murmured. "There hasn't been rain in months. She's wasting her energy." Still, Mira pushed her hands into the cracked earth, her heart steady. As she worked, she prayed, "Lord, I trust you more than I fear the drought." One evening, as she finished watering her tiny garden from her last jug of stored water, a traveler approached her home. His clothes were dusty, his face weary, and he carried nothing but a small satchel. "May I rest here for the night?" he asked. Mira welcomed him into her home, offering him bread and water, though she had little left. He thanked her with warm eyes filled with peace. At dawn, before leaving, the traveler said to her, "You have given out of your lack. God will give to you out of his abundance. Your faith will not fail you." Then he disappeared down the road. That same afternoon, dark clouds rolled in, slowly, heavily, as if pulled by divine hands. The villagers ran outside in disbelief. For the first time in many months, the sky cracked open, and rain fell, strong, steady, life-giving rain. Mira stepped into her garden as the drops soaked the soil. She lifted her face heavenward, tears mixing with the rain. Within days, her seed sprouted. And within weeks, her garden grew faster and stronger than any in the village, green vines, bright leaves, full blossoms. Her crops flourished while many others struggled. People began to visit her home, asking, "How did you know the rains would come? How did you keep going when everything looked hopeless?" Mira smiled softly and answered, "I didn't know when God would move. I only knew that he would." Faith is not built on circumstances. Faith is built on trust. Her story spread beyond Bethera. Travelers, widows, farmers, and broken hearts came to hear her speak, not because she was wealthy or powerful, but because her faith refused to bend under pressure. And so Mira lived, not as the woman who survived the drought, but as the woman whose unshakable faith watered the dry ground long before the rain ever did. Unshakable Faith, Part 2. The harvest of hope. The rain continued for several days, blessing the land that had once been dry and lifeless. Streams filled, wells overflowed, and the air carried the fresh scent of renewal. But nowhere was the transformation more visible than in Mira's field. By mid-season, her crops had grown so tall that children could run between the rows and disappear in a maze of green. Visitors who passed through Bethera often stopped when they saw her land flourishing beyond anything they'd imagined possible. One morning, as Mira walked through her thriving garden, she heard footsteps approaching. She turned to see Elias, the village elder, a man known for his wisdom and caution. "Mira," he began, stroking his silver beard, "your harvest. It is unlike anything we have seen. You must tell us how this came to be." Mira smiled, wiping dirt from her hands. "It came by trusting the one who never fails," she said. "I planted when the ground was dry, because faith sees what eyes cannot." Elias nodded slowly. "Your courage has inspired the people. They want to hear you speak. Will you come to the gathering tonight?" Mira hesitated. She had never stood before a crowd. She was no teacher, no leader. She was simply a woman who trusted God in her darkest season. Yet something in her heart whispered, "Go." "I will come," she said softly. The gathering that evening, the entire village gathered under the stars. Lamps hung from wooden beams, casting warm light across the crowd. Children sat cross-legged at the front, elders on carved stools, families filling every open space. When Mira stepped forward, a hush fell over the people. She looked around, her heart pounding. Then she spoke, "There was a time I prayed with tears more than words. A time when everything around me looked dead. But I learned this: faith grows best in the drought. Anyone can trust God when the rain is falling. But faith becomes unshakable when we trust Him in the dry places." People leaned closer. I planted seed when the ground was hard because God reminded me of something. The soil is never too dry for Him to work. Your life, your situation, no matter how hopeless it looks, you are never beyond God's reach. A woman in the back began to cry. A man bowed his head. Even the children listened with wide eyes. Mira lifted her hand slightly. The same God who brought rain to my field can bring restoration to your hearts, homes, and dreams. The crowd erupted in soft murmurs of agreement, some touched, some convicted, all encouraged. A new purpose in the days that followed, people from Bethera began to approach Mira, not just for food but for prayer. Those who had lost hope found it again through her testimony. Those who had been afraid to start over found courage. Mira realized something profound: her drought had been a training ground. Her pain had prepared her for purpose. One evening, as she finished praying with a young widow, she looked out at her field glowing in the sunset. Memories of her hardest days filled her mind, but now they did not bring sorrow. They brought gratitude. For she finally understood, God had not only restored her land, He had restored her calling. And so Myra's story became more than a tale of miraculous rain. It became a reminder that, when faith is unshakable, God uses your story to strengthen others. When faith stands firm, your life becomes a light for every soul still walking through their drought.